Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you this cold growing terrarium that I've made for my orchids. I keep mostly cool to intermediate cool growing orchids. And what that means is they require a nighttime temperature drop of approximately 10 degrees Celsius. So what I have set up is for my tank to reach 24-ish Celsius during the day maximum, and then at nighttime the tank will drop down to 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. So the way I achieve a temperature drop is by thermoelectric cooling. I have a Peltier cooler. What it is it's a sort of small white square, and one side of the square gets very cold and the other side gets very hot when it's on. So you attach heat sinks to both sides, the cold side obviously being inside your tank and the hot side being outside your tank. And what it does is, as the hot side dissipates heat and the cold side dissipates cold, it will cool your terrarium. Peltier modules are generally recommended only for smaller spaces. This setup is 3 feet by 1.5 feet by almost 3 feet, and so it's pretty big. And as a result, I needed to make the setup as efficient as I could, so that the cooler would not waste too much electricity. And basically what that means is I've insulated the crap out of this box. The only glass panels I have are on the top, and I have a piece of white foam over that. I'll show you. Here, this foam helps a little bit. My front door is not glass as you would have in other terrariums. It's actually just a piece of styrofoam, like this. And of course, all the sides I sprayed with insulation foam, and there's some styrofoam panels in the back as well. Besides just keeping the setup insulated from heat at night, what having the enclosure completely closed off does is it really helps keep the humidity up as well. These plants thrive in high humidity environments. However, to prevent mold and excessive algae, you need air movement. And so I have a couple circulation fans which help keep the air moving in the tank, so that the air is not stagnant and mold and algae does not grow all over my plants. So I have two up here that are a little bit slower because they're blowing directly at some of the plants. And then down here, one is here and one is back here, and these ones are blowing down. So now that I've gone through the actual setup, I guess I should show some of the plants that are in bloom. So here I have Trisotella andrete. It's a rather small plant with relatively large flowers relative to the plant. This thing is always in bloom, so it's a great plant to have. Right behind it, you'll see this thing probably looks pretty similar. It's in spike, but not in bloom. This is Trisotella triglochen. Pardon pronunciation on that one. That one always gets me. And yeah, that one also flowers freely. It's not flowering right now. It's in spike because I had ripped it off its old mount and put it on a new one because the old one was degrading. Behind that, I have Lepanthopsis astrophora. This thing makes cool little purple star-shaped flowers, and each inflorescence can have upwards of 16 to 20 flowers before the inflorescence is finished blooming. And it's basically on and off throughout the year. It blooms every 2 months, I'd say. This Poroglossum porphyrium is in bud. I'm waiting for this to open. I'm excited because that bud is a lot darker purple than a lot of pictures I've seen on the internet, so might have something special there. Let's go here. This is Restrepia muscifera, and so the cool thing about this plant is the flowers are under the leaves, so kind of hard to tell that it's in bloom sometimes, unless the leaf is of course upside down, like this one here. But yeah, these flowers, very unique looking. I think it kind of looks like Squidward. If you look at the column in the middle, try to focus there. Oh. Yeah, I think it kind of reminds me of Squidward from SpongeBob. Over here I have Speculina recula. This thing's not doing amazing, but I have a flower that's been here for almost 2 weeks, I'd say. Ever since I moved this plant into this setup though, it's been doing a little better, putting on some new growth and not losing as many old growths. Something else that started to bud right after I got this setup is this Pleurathalopsis norae. Only one bud, but man, is that flower tiny compared to the leaf. Over here I have my pride and joy, of course, Lepanthes tentaculata. This plant came to me as 3 leaves, and now it's over 20 leaves. And this thing is flowering forever. It's never not flowering, so it's amazing to look at. Here is another Lepanthes. This is Lepanthes terpsichore, and this thing also took a little hit, I think, when I was moving it to this setup, because it was a little bit dry where I had it stored as I was moving everything around. But it's starting to bounce back with some new leaves. There's some flowers. There's another one back here. Pretty interesting looking flower. Okay, over here I have a couple more flowers. This is Masdevallia andretana. It has pendant flowers, so they semi-pendant, so they angle downwards. It's a nice white velvety textured flower. And I have another spike right here developing, so that'll be fun. These blooms last forever, upwards of 6 to 8 weeks. This has been in bloom since December. Here I have an interesting little peach colored flower. Focus. This is Anathalis sanchezii. I got 2 little flowers there, another inflorescence there. Yeah, neat little thing. I think it's a little bright here, so I started adding some shade on top. It's been a battle trying to get a correct light level for everything in here, since my old setup was glass, so I didn't have, you know, a bright walls to reflect light at the plants, so it was easier to put things closer to the top without burning the leaves. But see this leaf here, it's turning a little red, so I started to add some shade. Okay, down here, this is Pleurathallis talpinaria. Yeah, just some very fun looking flowers. The labellum on this thing is actually very hairy on the bottom side. Let me see if I can zoom in here. You can kind of see it there. But yeah, this thing also is just always flowering. What I've noticed since switching setups is the flowers last longer with colder nights, which kind of makes sense. So yeah, cool to have them around for longer. Back there I have a Dryadella. I'm not gonna take it out, but there's a bunch of flowers in there. deep in the foliage. And this thing is also always in bloom, basically, or at least it has been for the last 4 months. This here, Masdevallia amplexa. Try to focus on the bud. It is a warmer tolerant Masdevallia, so it did bloom in my old setup very easily. This thing's got some bright red flowers, pretty nice. And then I have a couple Pleurothallus species over here that I won't really get into. Maybe this one here. This is Pleurothallus souri, and it has these this is a really big one. Yeah, these yellow flowers that are really cool. Actually, so I bought this plant thinking it was gonna be a small miniature plant, and then it came as this massive 1.5 foot tall plant, so that was quite a surprise. Anyways, I want to thank you all for watching. Yeah, and subscribe if you want. Leave a like, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more plant videos later.